Nick, it's amazing that you actually got into this country and B, were allowed to shoot scenes from everyday life.
But this was even more incredible in a sense because, I mean, you often have to be accompanied. But in fact, I had two minders. One wasn't with me at this point and the other one wanted to go swimming. Did I want to swim? And I thought, no, actually, I'm here to take pictures. Oh. And so, in fact, I was allowed to wander around, take pictures. And contrary to what one might think, actually, here, this barbecue scene, what was amazing was that, you know, they were offering me skewers of, you know, like kebab, meat, yes, and drink of the alcoholic kind, and people were extraordinarily friendly. Yeah. Had difficulty communicating with them, but it was quite amazing. And again, I mean, this is also quite unusual. The styles of the bathing costumes.
I was
really
thinking
changed.
They were a bit like the 1920s in Europe, you know.
Absolutely. What's also curious about that is you rent your bathing costume. So it's you don't go to buy it; it would be too expensive. So a lot of the costumes that you see, particularly on the women, are actually rented from that particular shop.
Amazing. So you didn't actually venture into the water yourself that day?
I have to admit I didn't. I would have loved to, but yeah. I thought I had work to do.
And once they got used to being photographed, it was fine. They were...
Absolutely. I mean, in this particular picture, and as in many of them, people took no notice of me. There was, you know, which is fantastic. It was really like street photography. Yeah. And that is difficult to achieve in a lot of places in the world today, and you would have thought so in North Korea, but here people were very relaxed about it. It wasn't always the case.
No, I can imagine. But, you know, what is interesting, just looking at them before you came in, is that the image of North Korea, North Korean people, to be fair, is of robots. They just lead a robotic life. That's what they are. And your pictures actually show what we, of course, know is that they're human beings, you know, living their lives.
I mean, I was very keen to show that because I think, you know, they go through the same pains and joys. Obviously, it's a different political system, but the human emotions are there. As I mentioned, you know, having a picnic, you can see people really engaged, having great fun. For them, obviously, it's downtime. And I found that in so many places. And, you know what it's like in areas where there's conflict, yeah, that people also, you know, they might live moments of terror because they're being bombed, but equally, they have emotions,
yes,
often a great sense of humor, and many North Koreans also did have a great sense of humor, maybe born out of hardship, but nonetheless, a whole gamut of emotions that similar to our own. But again, I was very keen not just to show urban life, because, you know, there's images of Pyongyang and the big buildings.
Yeah.
So I did request that we could get into the countryside. I think they were always nervous about, you know, what you might see and what you might end up photographing. They weren't always happy. Sometimes I had to pretend I was deaf and didn't hear them calling Mr. Nick. But that was one of the pictures, for example, going into a field.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, some people have an awareness of mechanization elsewhere in the world, but nonetheless, you know, I was allowed to take pictures walking into the field, you know, farm workers. Yeah, I mean, that's a everyday scene.
Yeah.
Yes, very hard again. I mean, they do lead very hard lives, partly because there's no mechanization in many parts of the country. Obviously, the leaders are omnipresent, a collective, so they've actually volunteered to go onto a farm cooperative. So they're university-age students. Their lives are very much, as it were, organized at every moment of the day. But equally, one of the things that I also wanted to do was get into someone's home. In fact, it was achieved on several occasions. And probably a privileged farmer, because you can see it's a house.
Yes.
But nonetheless, I think that is pretty well the kind of usual example of someone's living room. I mean, the leaders have got to be there.
Yeah. I remember the first time I went there, Nick, in 1970, I was astonished to be told that when the Korean War ended in 1953, in what was the north, not a single building had been left standing. Everything had been destroyed, so they had to build it all anew.
This is a curiosity. The trucks, petrol is in short supply, so they have wood which they put into this kind of furnace, which creates this, you know, the gas to get the
truck going.
to get the truck going. So the military trucks, many of them, work on this very basic principle.
You didn't go to the Chinese border because that's where they say that a lot of stuff comes over from China and it's a different atmosphere.
I did, yeah, and you can see that has been one of the liberalizations that's taken place. But it's a dramatic contrast from going from China also into North Korea. I mean, people bring food on the train, and we were not searched at all. They said, did we have mobile phones? We said yes, but they didn't look at them. On the other hand, all the North Korean citizens, absolutely everything was gone through. But you do sense that many go to buy things in China along the border areas, and then they come back.
Yeah. And then in those border areas, they can watch Chinese television as well.
Well, one of the new things in North Korea is mobile phones. A lot of people have mobile phones, but you cannot phone abroad. So some things remain in place. For example, there's no access to the internet. The privileged few, yes. But basically, you know, the form of communication today is the mobile phone, but on one system, and only to a network that exists within North Korea. These are some of my favorite.
They're
shots.
fantastic pics, actually.
Here you can see there's a selection of hairstyles with numbers. So, you know, you go to your...
Pick up, I'll have 6. Yeah.
They were a little worried about this picture. They only were allowed to see 4 of the images prior to the exhibition going up. And the complaint was that we have more than 14 hairstyles.
Could have fooled me, but never mind.
And here you can see
the women.
Yeah. With a saying from Kim Il-sung, the leader, you know, the beauty of the nation is in your hands, more or less. You know, you should wear makeup. So the same for women there too.
Did you get any idea, Nick, looking at that photograph, for instance, who they might be?
I mean, I certainly don't think that these were elite members of Pyongyang society, because there were huge numbers of men and women and children queuing to come into what I can only describe as a pleasure palace. But I mean, indeed, they might well be just from this district of Pyongyang, which certainly wasn't one of the areas where the kind of elite cadres live. And so I think, and I can't say with any certainty, but I'm pretty sure it was a cross-section of Pyongyang citizens from this district.
So, Nick, this is the sort of one of their wonders, the metro.
Yeah, it's the deepest, apparently, metro system in the world. At some points, I think it's over 200 meters down.
Because why did they build it so deep?
They say because it could also double as a kind of nuclear shelter, that it would be so far underground it would offer some protection. So the escalators, you know, you can stand on that escalator for a very long time. Some people actually sit and have a little nap. I have a picture of a woman who's having a little siesta on the escalator.
And given that they double as nuclear shelters, it was very bold of them to let you go and take photographs.
Well, you can actually. I mean, one of the stations. I mean, it's very much similar to the kind of Moscow.
It looks like it. I was thinking that. Yeah.
There was a little bit of a dispute here because actually we were allowed onto one of the platforms, and then I said, "Oh, let's get onto the train," and it was, "Oh no, you can't go on the train. Can't go on the train." And so I said, "That's it. You know, I'm going back to the hotel." We often had these kind of niggling arguments. I'm walking back. "Oh no, you can't walk back to the hotel." And I said, "That's it. I'm stopping the photography." And I was in my room, and about an hour later I get a phone call saying, "Mr. Nick." I said, "Yes, we have a surprise for you. And but you've got to come down to the lobby." I said, "No," I said, "That's it, I'm finished." And eventually I did go down to the lobby, and we walked out of the hotel to the metro station and rode on the underground. So,
yeah.
And you can see here some of the...
So it is used then, Nick?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are power cuts occasionally,
yeah.
But, you know, it's a major form of
transport in the city.
And busy at rush hours like anywhere else in the world. I mean, I love this because of the picture of the kids.
It's lovely, it's lovely to see the kids in there, yeah.
Strange-looking foreigner and the object of curiosity, although I'm much more curious about them.
And smiling away.
It's, you know, that's what you would see on any metro station anywhere in the world if they
With
saw
kids.
a funny-looking person, you know.
Yeah.
taking a picture of them.
That's true. But this is the one which really reminds me of the Moscow Underground. You know, they've sort of copied the architecture quite effectively, chandeliers,
Absolutely,
arches.
even the arches that remind us of the one in Moscow.
Yeah.
But I believe not only that, but I think the trains, the wagons actually are from East Germany. So again, those
So
haven't
they're
been
collector's
released.
items.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything, unfortunately,
Is like that.
is a sort of collector's item, and every carriage has to have the portraits of the
granddad and
granddad and the dad.
dad. Yeah.
But here you just see, you know, the signalmen. They're actually women who are meant to, you know, watch for the safety of the passengers, but they also, with flags, signal to the driver when to leave the station.
And I mean, even judging from your photographs, the women, there are large numbers of women employed in these jobs.
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, there's an effort, as in many of the former socialist countries, that, you know, jobs should be shared between men and women. Although, the exception being in the army, I believe that the men have to do their military service. It's not obligatory for the women. But, you know, in most of these pictures, you can see that women share in the duties. Although, what is new is that women are not meant to wear trousers. That's, again, one of the leaders' pronouncements. So that's starting to happen. But in all the pictures that you see here, most women are still
wearing
in
skirts.
skirts.
Yeah.